Sonic, you're listening to the voice of HGS.
Hello and welcome to Sonic, everybody. Ahalya here, keeping you company for a short little while because we're here today to celebrate, or rather kickstart our celebrations to International Women's Day. Date 8th of March on everybody's calendars. And you know, I often find that the best way to initiate progress is always to spark a conversation. And lucky for us, we've got the perfect platform in Sonic to do just that. So today we're going to be diving deep into a conversation with three wonderful speakers. Shilpa Harsh, Executive Vice President, Global Corporate Communications, CSR, DEI and ESG. Charmaine Timothy, author and founder of MindSpace, and Sandhya Manoj, founder and CEO, Hummingbird, hosted by the wonderful Ranjini Rengarajan. So buckle up and let's dive right in to this conversation exploring why International Women's Day is so relevant even in today's day and age, how we as women and as a collective can push the needle forward and accelerate action and make the most of the moment.
Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. This is the favorite time of my year. And we have with us three leaders, each of whom has set standards in the DEI space and the inclusion space in their own right. So thank you so much for joining us, ladies. So let's start with you, Shilpa. Thank you so much for being here. My question to you is, why do you think there is a need to celebrate International Women's Day at this day and age?
Thank you, Ranjini. First and foremost, it's great to be on Sonic. See, I think we all would agree, over the past few years, we have made progress. And we all would still agree that more work is needed to create an equitable future. And International Women's Day continues to be a crucial opportunity for all of us to reflect on the progress we have made and continue to promote and talk about the women's rights and advocate for change. You know, I think this day continues to help raise awareness about the ongoing issues women face globally, such as inequality, biases, discrimination, and violence. And this awareness and conversation that happens on this day can inspire action and can inspire change. And for me, I think the day continues to serve as a reminder of the work that is still needed to achieve equality. Pushing for policies and initiatives that support women's rights and empowerment. So for me, celebrating women's achievements on this day also can inspire future generation of women and girls as well to pursue their goals and challenge the societal norms. They get their role models here today. They speak to them. This is all part of this many celebrations that are happening everywhere, across organizations and things. And like I'll talk about our organization, Ranjini, our women at AGS and men also, they look forward to this day because we all come together. While our initiatives, our policies, it's not just one day. We continue our efforts throughout the year. But on this day, we come together and this fosters solidarity among allies. Mm-hmm. And it just creates a sense of shared purpose and community in the fight for equality and change. So I think it's a very, very important day and I'm looking forward to celebrating it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Shilpa. Shilpa did mention about the role of allyship. So I think this is a very pertinent question to ask you, Sandhya. Why do we need men to advocate for women's rights? And what is the role of allyship irrespective of gender?
Thank you, Ranjini, and it's a real pleasure to be here today. Interesting question. Why should men advocate for women? So for me, gender equality is probably about women, but it's not just a women's issue. And this needs to be understood from a larger perspective, right? When you look at the society, I think everybody benefits when a woman thrives economically, socially, culturally. It's been proved, as research has shown several times, that when you have diverse and inclusive environments, you make stronger decisions. You're more creative, you're more innovative, and then you build better communities. And if you want to bring in real change, it's never about doing it in silos. It needs collective action. And therefore, men are an integral part of this fabric, this ecosystem. But when you bring it down to, say, organizations, I think it's just a business imperative, right? I mean, again, there's enough data for us to say that when you have diverse leadership, for instance, organizations tend to, at least 25% of the time, more likely to outperform in terms of profitability. And it's a known fact. And when you have diverse teams, they make lesser errors, greater decisions, so better outcomes. So I think it's just smart financial decision too from an organization perspective. Then finally, if you look at how the power dynamics stay today, whether it's boards, whether it's senior leadership, it's more skewed to men. I mean, we have more men than women. So when men in their position of privilege and influence actively advocate for women, then they call out biases. They're actually challenging stereotypes. They're, breaking down the systemic barriers that exist in whether they're visible, they're invisible, and they're bringing out a very fair and just workplace culture, which is inclusive. And I think they normalize these conversations. So you brought in a question of allyship, right? So allyship is really not just about words, but it's actually taking it to action, active action, right? You're calling out biases. So when men become allies, they're not just supporting women, they're supporting the entire ecosystem because they're building better communities, better workplace cultures, they're bringing better teams, and they're talking about sustainable future for everyone. And just to take one more point, I would say that allyship is not a one-day affair. It can't be just for International Women's Day where everybody's coming together and we're all voicing our opinion. I think real allyship is a call to action on a daily basis. And real allies are people who actually talk about it because it's part of their ethos, right? It's part of their leadership values. And they're doing this on a daily basis, irrespective of whether they're being seen or not. And I think that is the message that true allyship holds for me. Because while all of these benefits exist, I think morally, heart of hearts, when you're a true ally, you know it's the right thing to do. Gender equality is the right thing to do.
I love what you said about how allyship is the right thing to do. And real allies will do it throughout the year. I love that. I think that's such a powerful and strong message to everyone who's listening in and who's watching us. Now, I'm coming to Charmaine for my favorite question in this episode. And I think it's a very interesting question, again, because it's something that I've heard from a few people. The question is, how can we turn feminism into something that people are not threatened of or afraid of?
That's such a great question, Ranjani, and one that I get asked quite often. But first, I'm very excited to be here on Sonic discussing this very important topic. So at its core, I think feminism is really about fairness and equality for everyone. Now, unfortunately, some people misunderstand it, thinking it's about favoring one group over another. But in reality, it's about leveling the playing field for everyone. It's about how we can all thrive together, like Sandhya also mentioned. Now, when I talk to my daughters, I have two of them, 13 and 8. I explain to them that feminism is about fairness. It's about being treated equally, whether you're a boy or a girl. And I want my daughters to grow up understanding that it's not about women's rights, it's about human rights, which is for everyone. So when all of us support feminism, we're really supporting a world where equality, equity is the baseline. And that is something none of us should be afraid of enabling. We should be proud of doing it, in fact.
Absolutely. I think equity is something that people are still coming to terms with, right? How do we provide ourselves a level playing field, knowing the backgrounds that we come from, knowing some of the struggles that we have had, knowing that it takes a lot more for certain people to reach the same playing ground that others have taken for granted. So in this context, Sandhya, I would like to ask you, how do we advocate for women's rights in today's times?
I think for me, first and foremost, it's about educating people, It's about creating awareness. It's about sensitizing them to gender equality. I think providing that platform where they learn about these biases to understand, most people are blissfully unaware, and that's my belief. I think till they need to be told what it is. And I think that's the starting point to any change, to bring in a system of sensitization. Secondly, I think amplifying women's voices, when I say amplify, give them a platform to speak, create those communication channels internally and externally. It's extremely important to do that. But also, if you can, and as much as possible, give them a seat on the table. Because if you're making policies about women, you should have women there talking about it. Because who better than the affected party to tell you what should be in the guidelines, right? So try and make that a part of your policy. Create structures in terms of protecting them against discrimination and violence. There must be legal actions that is possible within organizations today, and do that. I think mentorship is again a very, very powerful tool. We've seen in recent times that one of the initiatives, the returnship program, has really gained momentum across different segments. But, unfortunately, if I want to take a step back, in a career for a woman, both her career and her personal life are going in parallel tracks.
Right.
And unfortunately, most women have to make a choice. And 99.9% of the time, they give up their career for family, right? So the returnship program, while it's been a fantastic initiative, is there something as organizations or collectively we can think about in terms of even preempting that? Can we allow them a little more flexibility? I mean, post-COVID, we've been talking about wellness, we've been talking about flexible work between work from home and stuff, but can there be flexible timings? Can there be short-term leaves based on, when we talk about equity that they may need for different responsibilities that we could keep talking about in terms of, caregiving, whatever. So I think if we take that step back and try to preempt, maybe the number of people who quit and the pyramidal structure will also become more robust. It may become, because you have literally 50% at the entry level, which becomes less than 10% at the board level. So why does that happen? Can we sort of preempt that? In today's time, I think that's important. And I'd like to say that beyond mentorship, we need to look at sponsorship. When people are actually committed to your success, to me, that is a very important aspect of growth, right? And I believe that sponsorship should be encouraged totally in organizations, because your failure is my failure, your success is my success, and that's what we need today.
Absolutely. And in fact, I'd like to just add something here. Sandhya, you said this sponsorship is key because men can help women navigate the ecosystem. Many a times women will get confused, and perhaps, as you said, all the systemic barriers that they have faced, they may not know the solution. So that's where your success is my success. I think that's just so rightly said. And I'll just like to say one more thing to what you said about having a seat on the table. I think today, in many organizations, we have taken that step. That progression is something we all are saying. I think it's now critical to hear the voices of the women on the table. And I think that's where sometimes, and perhaps a lot of work is needed as well. So just something that I thought of sharing here.
So I know, Shilpa, that you're yourself a big advocate for sponsorship and allyship, and how we can, how we can kind of set this journey up for success. But if we have to turn the lens on ourselves, right, as women, one of the things that I think struggle with the most is in the fact that, we have additional responsibilities. We have responsibilities of being primary caregivers. We do straddle quite a bit of work and life, right? We bring it back home. So what are your thoughts on how we can perhaps push the needle forward from our perspective for ourselves and for the women to come?
I totally agree with you, Ranjini. I think as women, we do have primary caregiving responsibilities. And we have, I would say, we straddle, as you rightly said, many areas, many segments in our life. We have offices, we have homes, our own personal lives. I think as women, we really, across all of this, we need to ensure that we take out time for ourselves.
Mhm.
Because if we are not able to take out time for ourselves, we might not be able to do things that is needed for the role that we are in, and perhaps not also support in moving the needle forward. Today, I think as the positions that we are in as leaders, perhaps in the organizations, there are various things that we can do to, push the needle forward for empowerment of women colleagues. And we can do this on a daily basis, promoting equal opportunity. I think that is something which is very, very critical. By being mentors, Sandhya spoke about it, and the sponsorship on career growth is something that has to be part of our daily action, daily opportunity that we can extend to all our colleagues by being very, very vocal advocates for ourselves. I think that's very, very critical, because we know the best in terms of what works for us, for our teams, for our colleagues. Pushing for equal pay, for example, pushing for maternity leaves, pushing for policies that work for us. I think that is going to be critical as we kind of move forward in this journey. Again, something that we all talk about, and we have taken action, but something more is needed here, which is ensuring merit-based diverse hiring and having women leadership. And Sandhya did speak about this, that when it comes to the leadership levels, we don't have many women there. So what can we do to push this forward? I mean, and I'll give some examples of small things that we are doing at AGS here, ensuring and supporting women-owned businesses. Like, we support and we choose to uplift women-run enterprises. I think that is something very, very critical in terms of what we can do outside our organization, how we can be like a supporter and build the ecosystem for all the women that we work along with. And again, coming back to something which I hold very, very close, it's very close to my heart, which is challenge the bias by speaking out against discrimination and advocating for equality. In whichever area of our life, if we are not challenging the discrimination, no one else will do it for ourselves.
Good for us.
We have to do it for ourselves. We owe it to ourselves, and we should do this.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Shilpa. Really powerful words. And I really love the fact that I think somewhere we forget to take care of ourselves. In our need to take care of everyone around us, we put ourselves last. But there has to be moments in a day where we put ourselves first, when I choose me over, caregiving for others. I love it. Charmaine, this question is for you. And we were wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about what is intersectionality and how does it play a part in women's journeys, and how does it kind of, how do we kind of equitize this gap among women?
So intersectionality is such a powerful concept. It was coined by Kimberly Crenshaw to describe how different forms of inequality like race, gender, class don't just coexist, they amplify one another. So this means that for women, our experience aren't shaped by gender alone, but by all parts of our identity. And from my own experience, one of the most important ways we can be mindful of this is by actively listening and asking the right questions. We need to be intentional in recognizing that a woman's challenges may be compounded by more than just gender. And that means advocating for diverse leadership also. So when women from different backgrounds have a seat at the table, like we've all spoken about, they bring unique perspectives and experiences that help shape decisions that reflect the realities of all women. So it's not just about diversity as a checkbox. It's about truly valuing diverse voices to drive that meaningful change that we all aspire for. And this is especially critical because women, more often than not, take on the role of primary caregivers. And if we don't consider this topic in leadership, then policies and opportunities are not reflective of, the diversity that we want. And we risk leaving behind so many in the entire population, right, that we have, the ecosystem, who need our support the most.
As we come towards the end of our Sonic episode, I have wanted to hear from all of you, maybe we can take turns, about the theme this year, which is accelerating action. So, what is the one message that you would like to tell women on what is accelerating action and how we can perhaps do this for ourselves? Can we start with you, Sandhya?
I think so many thoughts are coming in, but I would say maybe the one word is speak up, because your voice is very powerful. Right. And you can see the change you want there only if you actually voice it out. And don't be hesitant about it. Ask for it. Ask for the opportunities. Ask for it. Don't allow the self-doubt to monopolize your thought.
Accelerating action is key, and there is a sense of urgency around it now. So even as we think about accelerating action, we must be mindful that change doesn't happen when we wait for the perfect moment. It's about seizing opportunities and taking steps forward now. And all of us, I think, have a role to create a world that's inclusive, equal, full of opportunity for everyone. So I think let's challenge the status quo. Let's break down barriers and make real, meaningful progress. And if on some days things get stormy and difficult, it seems like you're not making a difference, just power through and remind yourself that life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain.
It's about embracing your voice, owning your voice. And I think every action counts towards creating impactful change. So today, I think we all have to believe in our abilities, and we have to support each other. I think that is going to be very, very key. We have to also remember that progress always happens when you take that first step. So we have to take that first step.
Fantastic. Awesome. What I heard from the three of you, and such diverse but such powerful statements, if we had to sum it up, we have to step up, we have to speak up, and we have to speed up. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us and making this such a wonderful, it was so personal for me that you all came in and did this Sonic episode with us. And with that, I'd like to wish you all a very, very happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you all.
That's a wrap on this episode, but thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Sonic, and wishing all of you out there a very happy International Women's Day. Never be afraid to spark the conversation and make the most of the moment. Catch you on the next episode.
Sonic, you're listening to the voice of HGS.